Welcome to Hosbrutality. My name is Stefan Zarnecki of Black Tie Tours. With me, as always, Wesley Jones of Tour Cascadia and Cole Rogers, local artist. And we are joined today by winemaker extraordinaire Jackson Dean Holstein. I don't know, what's your middle name, Jackson?
Hennessy, as a matter of fact.
Hennessy.
Hennessy's my middle name.
God, that's cool.
Hells yeah.
Pleasure as always, gents. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. I was up here earlier today with some lovely people, and we didn't have a place where we were planning on recording today. We're just going to record at Chapters, I think. And Jackson was nice enough to come on as our guest today because these people asked a barrel question. Mm-hmm. And one of the things Jackson said was, "Oh, it's a long story." You know, in response, I think they asked, about the size of the barrels. Oh, it's a long story, and they want to know. They want to know about the barrels and the uses, etc. And sure enough, Jackson launched into it, and it was, that was the short version, obviously. But I found it really interesting. They clearly enjoyed the conversation, and so fortunately, you were available to come on tonight, and we're going to talk about barrels. Because I think it's one of those things that Wesley had mentioned earlier off camera that people want to know about, but they don't necessarily ask the question.
Yeah, maybe they don't have the language and they feel kind of embarrassed to dive into something they don't, maybe know a whole lot about.
Or they think it's an obvious answer and they don't realize it's actually a very technical thing that not many people know about very much at all.
Right.
But if you don't go wine tasting a lot, that's one of the weird things about wine is that people have this intimidation of the information. So I think that might be part of it too, is people are like, I don't want to ask the stupid question.
Yeah.
So, but it's not a stupid question. You should ask all the questions.
Yeah. Ask all the questions. People love at the wineries to show off how much they know.
Yep. Totally.
Yeah.
And it keeps from there being dead air and awkward pauses. So ask those questions. I think the question that actually launched that conversation today was about your barrels over there. Why, you've got a little, what I think is a little adorable little barrel, and then you've got some Mondo super barrels. So, so why the different sizes and shapes on the wine barrels?
Yeah. Believe it or not, sizes and shapes are just the start of it.
Size does matter.
When it comes to barrels, we tend to think so. It's. I think the terminology I used today was it can be a bit of a rabbit hole, it's never that I don't want to have the conversation. It's that sometimes people don't understand the question they just asked, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you kind of want to gauge how much time do you have,
Right.
and because
exactly.
it's something we people in our profession pay a lot of attention to, and for good reason, because as much bad publicity as oak gets, it can be a really beautiful thing when done right in proportion and when matched with the good wine. So, more generally, something people don't understand just right off the bat is the different stages of when oak is used, right? With white wines, we use oak for fermentation and aging. With red wines, we can use it for fermentation, but more often than not, we just use it for aging, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's kind of just a basic understanding there versus difference of understanding, I should say, that sometimes people don't always understand. And, the shapes and sizes. We tend to focus on different size of barrels primarily for our white program. And when I say program, I mean about all 500 cases of whites that I make. But, there's different theories with sizes and shapes of barrels where we work a bit with cigar barrels, which are they're packed away in the back, but they're actually elongated, and they allow for the wine to have a higher ratio of contact with the lees, the sediment that falls to the bottom of the barrel, and there's an interaction between the lees and the wine, and we want that interaction to take place, and we don't want there to be any limits to it. And so sometimes we utilize barrels that have a bit more length to them, so rather than more compactness, so that lees, that sediment that settles out in the barrel, has the ability to interact with the wine and isn't packed on top of each other. So that's one with Chardonnay that we in particular focus on. We also focus a lot on stave thickness, so not as only shapes and sizes, it's thickness thereof, barrels.
So staves are basically the wood pieces, right?
Yeah, so barrels have, there are some of their parts where they have staves, which are little cuts of wood that go the length of the barrel, and then there's heads, which are also made of staves, and they're bent and formed too with metal hoops often, and there's different thicknesses, and those are also something we pay a lot of attention to with reds and whites. So they serve multiple purposes, and we pay attention to shapes and sizes, especially with our white program. We pay attention to shape sizes, but also toast and origin of wood with our Pinot. I mean, the answer is it all matters, right? But I'm just saying in broader strokes, I pay attention a little bit more to the shape with the whites because of the interaction with the lees, because whites don't get much skin contact.
Right.
So, but it all matters, and it's not a one size fits all. Winemakers spend a lifetime trying to match that perfect barrel to that perfect wine, and it's never ending. But we hope we get better at it. So
Yeah, you mentioned, I think in that conversation today, that you have had the opportunity to taste different barrels, like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the circumstances for that? I found that kind of interesting. Like you,
Yeah. I came up at Argyle Winery. Argyle makes, they make a lot of wine, a lot of good wine, but a lot of wine. And I also worked in Australia at Earing Station Winery, also a larger producer for the region. And the thing that is so beautiful about working as a kind of a micro producer, if you will, Granville, we're super small, right? 2,000 to 3,000 cases. We're talking about working at facilities that, between 50 to 100,000 cases, right? And so when I was kind of at the early stages of kind of creating a plan of what I want to do and what type of wine I want to make and how I want to make that wine, you do what a curious winemaker does, and that is taste everything. And it's a fun job to have, and you can go a lot of different avenues with it. But I made it a point when I was in cellars I worked in, or when I was visiting any other cellar, if there was a combination of regional fruit and oak that match that I hadn't tasted, I'd ask.
mm-hmm.
And there was times where I took days off to just taste through cellars. I've been on 30 days straight working, and on my 31st day, I said, I just want the ability to go through the cellar and taste some things, if that's all right, because I know I got some things I got to figure out. So it was a combination of working in the right places under the right people who gave me the access and shared their knowledge, and working at places that frankly have the budget to source some really exquisite barrels from different regions of the world, and from coopers large and small that put a ton of energy and a ton of thought into how they produce and their craft and how they produce their product. And I was primarily those two cellars, but along the way with friends and acquaintances saying, hey, I haven't tasted that with that. Like that is something I've been meaning to, and I've heard a lot about, ex cooperage, or and that is something curious to me. So it was a combination of opportunity and curiosity, and
when it comes to the places the oak comes from, we hear French oak a lot.
Yeah.
I know American oak. Tell me more about sort of the origins of the oak that's used within Oregon and around the world.
Yeah. So I'll start with Oregon. Oregon, there's some kind of, I would say, producers that are really exploring what it's like to use white oak here in Oregon. I think they're doing some really interesting stuff. The body of work is relatively small at this point, but there's some really good wines and barrels coming out of Oregon, but in very, very small quantities. Broadly speaking, well, for Oregon, I think because we predominantly produce Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, those varietals go really well with French oak, because French oak can supply tannins, but it's also not bearing or overpowering. The other, so France is a huge source of oak. The eastern side of Europe, so primarily Hungary and Ukraine, different regions like that, they can supply oak. And then we have oak coming from here in the United States, primarily Minnesota, Virginia, I think Wisconsin, a few other states and different forests. You can find oak here in America as well. And so they all tend to lead into they impart different flavors. And so for California, it's much easier to make a Cab Franc or heavier red varietals with, I tend to think, and I think the general consensus is with American oak or Hungarian oak. It does a little bit more vanilla bean, a little bit heavier, and it can be a little bit more aggressive with the tannin sometimes. But it can also be kind of sweetening and smoothing of the palate at the same time. It kind of depends. Versus French, it's tighter grain, it's different soils, different growing conditions, and those barrels tend to, obviously there's Bordeaux, but for what we work with here in Oregon, with Pinot, we source primarily from the central region of France, and just because it seems to pair with Pinot Noir, which central region of France, and so that's kind of a little bit of a shotgun approach to how I view oak more broadly. So here for us, as a micro producer in Oregon, focusing on Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, we are exclusively working with French oak. And versus if I was making some Cab down in California, I no doubt would be exploring American and French oak combination thereof, maybe 100% American oak, just based on what style I was going for. So it can really vary, but for here in Oregon, with the varietals at least that seem to dominate this market, it's mostly French oak.
Gotcha. Now, one of the questions I've heard before is, your barrels look very nice. These all look
Tidy.
clean. Some of them look newer than other ones. And I've been in other wineries, and the barrels do not look so nice. Mm-hmm. What's with the variation? How are the barrels kind of used differently that would be the case? Yeah.
Turns out a little bit of our personality comes out in our in our winemaking facility. There's no foul in a little wine stain on a barrel. There's really not. But more broadly speaking, when you walk into someone's home, you see the pride of ownership. We have pride of ownership here, and broadly speaking, I tend to think that you're never going to be sanitary in a winery, but you hope to be as clean as possible, and at least I do. So for that purpose, we try to keep all our surfaces clean, and all that includes all the surfaces that could possibly come in contact with wine. We hope the exterior of the barrel never does. We hope it's just the interior of the barrel, but we try to keep everything tidy, and we also have pride of ownership, and so a combination of those two things is really why, and I just think it helps the age of the barrel. You start to see some rust on barrel hoops and things like that, and that just perpetuates itself to the rack, to the floor, and so I tend to think it's just good hygiene on a winery's behalf. That being said, I've been to cellars locally and internationally that I've had wines that I couldn't stand from the cleanest cellars in the world, and I've had wines that blew me over backwards from the most filthy cellars. So, I'm a little bit of a hypocrite at times.
Personal preference,
and both ways.
Right.
Some of my favorite wines come from very clean cellars with very clean barrels, and vice versa. So, it just comes down to the winemaker sometimes and how they want to run how they want to drive their ship.
How long do you expect a barrel to last?
Yeah, I've evolved on this. I used to think barrels could last a long time, and they can. I've kept it pretty tight to no longer than 8 years. Now, that being said, I have some in here from early 90s, though mostly for nostalgic purposes. I just have some hocus pocus beliefs in those few barrels. I don't know why. But I would say typically, I think about the oldest I have in here on average are like I think I have a swath of 2012s in here. It's 2020, so it's about 8 years, and those are probably the first things to go when I do get rid of some barrels. So I try to keep things right around that time frame, much longer than that. And the barrels wood is always forever a good aging vessel from the micro-oxidation properties, but the longer you have that surface, that porous surface, the longer it can harbor bad actors. And so then we try our best to keep all the barrels clean while they're empty, because there is a short time that sometimes these barrels are empty, and we use sulfur and acid to try to make sure these barrels are stay relatively neutral and free of any bacteria or like I said, bad actors. But it can happen, and no matter how hard you try. So, and that tendency, and I think that that the potential for that gets higher the longer the barrel sits around. So, but there's some really old barrels in here and other cellars that I've tasted wine out of that just, I forget who I was tasting with last year, and it was a barrel, I want to say it was like from 86, and they were just like,
oh wow,
who was that? Anyway, and they're just like favorite barrel every year for my favorite block. And it's like, shit, if it works,
Right.
it works.
Right.
So,
if you don't clean your socks and you keep hitting home runs,
yeah, it's like those perfect jeans. Sometimes you just don't want to wash them, right? So, no, sometimes winemakers find that, and whether it's in their head or justified. I'm not one to say all the time, but
Right.
there's no one size fits all, but. No one's got barrels hanging around here from the 1950s. I don't think. You talk about port or something like that, totally different. And but with Pinot and Chardonnay, that seems to be. I don't think we're on the high side or low side. I'll bet we're kind of in the middle.
Yep.
There's a lot of people probably don't have anything older than 2016 barrel in their cellar right now. So, yeah.
All right, we got a few minutes left. Yeah, go ahead.
Now, when it comes to buying a barrel, obviously it can't be vintage specific because you have to plan ahead for purchasing your barrels. What goes into your thought process for selecting the barrels that are going to come in, especially brand new with everything they're going to impart, when you know you have sort of an unknown in the vintage coming up?
Yeah, I think as a producer and winemaker grow, you tend to understand that, we work with a predominantly 3 cooperages, and I usually buy a certain percentage of each, and because I know the qualities they can impart on a wine, and I may adjust that for our premium wine a little bit one way or another based on a certain percentage, one versus the other, based on how the vintage plays out. I may spread the more aggressive toast or cooperage out in a lighter year, so make sure it doesn't overbear on a lighter wine. Versus a heavier one, I'm not as afraid of if it's a heavier vintage, say 18, which we have in our glass now. A little bit of the heavier toast doesn't scare me away. So, that it's you have multiple contingency plans.
Yeah.
So,
Now,
All right,
before
and we're going to get into a little bit more of this afterwards. Wesley's going to have a little session. We have to end this segment, but we will be back in just a moment. Welcome back to Hosbrutality. Gentlemen, I'm so happy that we made it to the end of the year,
we did it.
and we have some wonderful memories.
We did.
We're going to...
somehow,
We
some way.
should stitch in, without any audio, some of the very first GoPro footage we did, our test footage. If you guys could see where we've come from in 8.5 months.
I'm impressed. I have to say, I think I was witness to the first recording. Is that
You were.
is that
First
true?
guest
What was our
recording.
First guest recording.
And I have to say, I walked away from that thinking, man, rookies.
Jokers.
No,
We were-
We
this is
still have
impressive,
that
guys.
picture. That's like on our Facebook
Yeah,
page.
no, this is impressive.
That's actually the home photo on our website.
no, that was fun.
It was. I was busted up. I was so upset that we didn't get that audio.
Yeah, that was
That was such good stuff.
Alan went off on
Yeah.
weather, and I was my nerdy self.
We're
Was
gonna have
so
to
happy.
redo it.
Try and
We'll have to
remember-
redo it when spring.
Alan and I feel like have those damn near every Sunday night. So,
Do you think your dad would come on with Ken? Would that like
oh man,
those two?
I mean, absolutely, yes. I think they would do it. The question is how many glasses of wine do we need to get in them beforehand, right?
I
Let's
say let's
go.
give them all the wine they need.
Because as much as the wine stories are interesting, I want to hear some of the college stories.
Right.
From back in
Right.
Kentucky.
Oh.
And
that's
some
gonna
stories people
be
don't
a
always know.
3-hour episode where we just go.
So, anyway, I won't sidetrack the episode.
No, let's do it. No, this is good. This is
That's so
planning
true.
for the future.
Well, boys, Hosbrutality is it's a thing now.
We've had quite a year.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, from starting a podcast to Cole meeting a woman that, had a vineyard that she wasn't able to completely
Oh,
attend
that.
to.
yeah. No, not that woman, Stefan.
Gotcha.
Us learning
One of the
some
women.
farming techniques, having a couple of different winemakers come out, look at the vineyard, and be like,
Yeah, Jackson coming on and being
Run.
like, "What the fuck are you thinking?"
and we got some fruit. We got some
Seriously.
wine in tank right now.
Yes.
We had nasty ass fruit, and then there was smoke.
yeah.
I was
You
just
know
trying
what?
to keep it real with you.
We already
fellas.
didn't have a
If,
vintage.
if there was ever a year to take over a vineyard with botrytis and powdery mildew
Yeah.
and then smoke effect, we picked the right year, boys.
Hey,
yeah.
You
know,
guys
if
hit the
you can-
trifecta.
Yeah. Yes, we did.
But we
yeah,
got
that
some
was-
tasty fucking wine that's in
is.
tank right now.
It's delicious one.
Yeah,
So we've talked about it a little bit before. We did a white Pinot Gris co-ferment.
Oh, there's a little Tempranillo in there too.
Did we
There
pick
is.
the Tempranillo?
Yeah,
We
there's
didn't
like
pick-
there's like 8 buckets of Tempranillo in there.
Yeah.
the Tempranillo looked like absolute dog shit. So
That's in our wine.
The
But
whole
want to
we,
buy
uh,
some?
really.
Yeah.
we pressed it real quick. It tastes delicious.
Yeah, it was real peachy. That
We're gonna
was fun.
sparkle
Really-
it, can it, and things. I'm really hoping things will be open by March, at least a little bit, because it's gonna be my 30th birthday, and we're gonna release our wine. I want to throw a party.
I'll be vaccinated, guys. Don't worry.
Let's go.
One
yeah,
of us
Cole, you're gonna
will.
be vaccinated soon.
I just spent my 30th birthday with the in-laws. So
There you go.
I love you, Debbie Vern. Thank you for watching my kid as I went skiing. I appreciate you. Love you.
Yeah.
was a big
So
one.
I mean, highlights from the Hosbrutality this year for me. The harvest was wonderful. I've never harvested before. It was, of course, a ton of hard work. Like, it was a long day. It was longer than I anticipated, I will say.
Right.
Definitely. Jackson's like, oh, shit. Of course it is.
I mean, the thing for me from that though was the number of people that came out to support our dreams and
Oh,
goals.
yeah.
Like we just put out the little memo, and we had 20 plus people show up
Yeah.
throughout the course of the day.
I wish you had
that-
20 more.
That was like my. That was like the moment that I sort of had an awesomeness for me. Like when what Stefan's talking about and Wes, where we just like looking around and seeing all our friends and family and people for no other reason than just they want to help us out.
Yeah.
Being there.
It's been fun to watch you guys go on this journey just from afar, as from someone who comes from the industry, and see your guys' approach to it. It's refreshing, and kudos to you for approaching this with an authentic take that's truly your own. So.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well,
We
and
appreciate
part
that.
of the process is that we wanted to be pretty vulnerable about everything that goes into this, and also admit that while we're on camera and we've been in hospitality for a long time, like there's so much that we don't know and we're learning in this process. And to have folks like Jackson
Chris.
and Chris and even Laurel come out and share the really precious parts of what they know and have learned from other people,
Yeah.
and be willing to just show a bunch of rookie dudes that have a dream and have been in this industry for a long
We
time.
kind of feel that the roots of Oregon, right?
Right.
Like the camaraderie. We're all in this together, kind of like, you know, what's mine is yours. Like,
Right.
definitely feeling some of that.
I mean,
so.
we've always championed the people that started making garage wine and, turned into something. Who knows what we turn into? Hopefully something really cool. But we get to, we didn't have billionaire investors that came and dumped a bunch of money. We get to partake in a lot of that. The part of Oregon history that we've celebrated is folks that have started with nothing. They bought a vineyard, or they, and it feels really special that 25, 30 years from now we can look back at this year and be like, we did it. We made 60 cases of wine.
Hey, this is
And
our journey.
This is where we started.
I agree. I just think going through the process is a pretty awesome experience, and I mean, I've worked in wineries and I've been around it, obviously, but it is much different when it's like, all right, we need to figure out how to get a truck. We're gonna get a trailer.
Yeah.
We got to get crew together. I mean, it's just the little logistical things are like so crazy.
Who has picking
tough
bins
to line up? And we picked 60 cases, so that just gives you a tiny bit of an appreciation for what we think we understand, even when we're around it.
Right.
But we don't even understand, even though we're like standing in the places and watching the people do it around us.
Right.
It's like watching somebody pick a vineyard. You're like, that looks pretty hard.
Right.
You pick a fucking vineyard, you're like, this is way harder than I ever thought it could be.
Oh, boys, just wait till the end of January, early February when we're
It's
That
wet
vineyard.
pruning
and
it's
pruning.
cold. And we don't want to be there.
There's work. Oh yeah.
There's
for
a
the
lot
coming
more work
vintage.
ahead.
But it's gonna pay off in the end because God, that vineyard was fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna need to do a lot of cutting back.
yeah. Okay, so what about specific episodes, moments of the pod that stood out to you guys?
Yeah.
Well, for me, a standout was the Black Walnut episode we did. I felt like that was one of kind of where we were really starting to figure it out and kind of get our groove and get down like the way we want to do things. The production level was a lot better at that point. It's a beautiful space, and it was really fun to like film and make content for me. And then just like Zach and Chase are just badasses. They make amazing food. And I really enjoyed the whole conversation about everything they went through with fermentation and preservation and just like how above and beyond Black Walnut is going in order to do what they want to do.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
And it was just a fun fucking day. That was just a really fun time.
What about you?
For me, dude, that Earth and Sea experience was really cool. And again, like, I have no shame in saying I'm still very much like a poor kid that hasn't eaten at many nice restaurants or experienced a lot of new food experiences. And so I think you can see it on my face in the episode. I just geeked out the whole time. The looks on my faces were pure. It was genuine. Like, I really appreciated sort of being let in and being coached. And I mean, even to the point where my rookie self, I saw a wine from 100 Sons on the list that I wanted, and I was like, let's do that. Let's get that to start. Someone was like, we're having seafood. Like, you should probably get Chardonnay to eat with the sea. And I was like, oh, I've never been in this situation before. I actually don't know how to respond. So one, like the mentorship of being brought into the food journey, that was super special. And I think back to one of my favorite experiences was our test run. It was those garage,
starting right
like,
up here.
We set up with a couple of GoPros in Stefan's garage.
Yes, we did.
And just did like a screen test. Like, how do we interact on camera? Is it going to be weird? Are we all going to be looking at the GoPro?
Yeah.
Camera angles.
Those were some of the more awkward, but then like I agree with you, man. If you think back, it is really cool to think back about it.
And that was the only way to figure it out was just to do it.
Just to
and
do
we
it.
did it.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
just went for it.
So it was super special to me. I look at those moments as little things that I've bookmarked for way down the road to look back on and be really grateful for.
Yeah.
I agree.
And the moral of the story is obviously we need to do more food episodes.
We need more restaurants to offer
So
us.
my number is 971.
Yeah,
If you want to text us, email us if you have a restaurant.
We're open
Yeah.
to come review you.
Yeah, there's some restaurants maybe we wouldn't do, but we'll get to that in a minute. Favorite
Foreshadowing.
My favorite probably episode, or one of my favorites that stands out was the Bells Up episode.
Yeah.
There are a couple things that I thought came together really well. First, I thought the lighting was beautiful on that episode, like with the sunset.
We timed it
and
perfectly.
the patio had some great lights. I was so happy with the light, the lighting on that episode. And then I love talking sports. Like, I love sports. Like, I really do. And so getting to talk basketball, and I think, did we talk a little? No, it was mostly basketball. With
Low football.
Dave, low football, was great. I would totally love to do that more. Incorporate that into the pod. I know not everybody's into sports, but we are.
Like if Tony Kornheiser just shared our episode, then we would have a lot more sports fans.
That would be great.
And it would give us more reason to talk about sports.
Yeah.
Right.
So just
Exactly.
Tony.
Well, and I think too, for me, like
us
sitting
some
with guys like Dave, who maybe don't get a ton of press in the area, they're a small place. I had such a good time interacting with him, and made for incredible footage.
Talk about a guy made for like camera or radio. I mean, like he's just got that personality. Like,
well, it lit a fire
Great.
under my butt
Boom.
to try to get
Perfect.
more folks, more small producers in the Valley on the podcast. Like, he was phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. And Evan
Dave.
Bellinger. I mean, under the radar guy.
Yep.
Great interview. Like, just, people don't know
I mean,
necessarily who these guys are. And
I thought he was kind of a dweeb, but that was just
Oh, well, yeah, obviously. But we
just kidding, buddy.
we're
Love
kind
you.
of dweeby, too. So.
I mean,
No,
but
I
think
can
about it, though.
qualify.
We've done everything now from Willamette Valley to Bellinger. Like,
Willamette
it's
Valley
a huge,
Vineyards.
it's a huge, Willamette Valley Vineyards.
We've done
It's
the,
a huge
the
spectrum.
scale.
And I'm excited for what we've
That's
got
what we
coming
do
up.
here at Hosbrutality.
Bellinger actually was one of my favorite episodes. It was really fun to do.
that was
We tasted his Chardonnay
That was just a good
the
time.
same time he did.
Yeah, he was like, yeah.
That's true.
That was cool.
Yeah, here's some barrel samples.
Evan was a good host.
Personal highlights from the year. I had a kid.
Woohoo!
I've got an 8-month-old chubby little baby named
He's
Malcolm.
so freaking cute.
He is the highlight of my life. 2020 has been really difficult, I think, for a lot of us. But I think it's really important at the end of the year to be able to reflect on the good things. Like, we have so
Absolutely.
much to be grateful. I've got a
Absolutely.
roof. I've got food. I got a shitter that flushes away my poops.
Who does?
I got a healthy baby and a healthy mama.
Well-behaved dogs. Oh, wait, no.
That's debatable.
That's not.
But, like, in the grand scheme of things, I'm incredibly fortunate to be where I am at the end of 2020.
Amen, brother.
I'm excited to walk into 2021 with a perspective of gratitude. So,
Amen.
thanks for keeping my head on straight, Spawn.
Let's go.
Well
Hey,
said.
same to you.
For me, 2020 was a lot. There was a lot of struggles as well, but I've been working a ton during 2020 because I work in healthcare. But learning how to fly drones, getting my drone license, and just getting really into photography, which I
Lit a
have to say,
fire in you.
lit a fire in me.
Yeah.
And hospitality is the reason why I started. The reason I got the drone, the reason I got the camera, and then that has led me to what I normally would do on weekends, which is like climb up mountains or peaks or whatever. Just get out in the woods, get out to the middle of nowhere, and I find a ton of joy in documenting that and sharing it with people. And so that's that's been a huge thing for me this year.
We'll share one of Cole's fail videos and his warranty battle.
I've lost some money
Right here.
with this hobby. It's not a cheap thing to get into,
Epic.
but I'm gonna keep taking awesome fucking shots. So I'm gonna keep losing drones, I'm sure. But
Don't take your mom's advice.
We're down we're down 3
Yeah.
drones at this point. It's not a big deal.
No, I don't know if a lot of people want to see
why don't you
Jacob
try?
Park.
Why don't you try just flying them in like neighborhoods or something for a while till you get good enough?
Oh yeah,
Thanks,
People are
Thanks, Mom.
Oh,
giving a thumbs up.
I'll
That
just
I'm
have
sure.
another 100 flights and
Yeah.
all.
All right. It was funny. Like personal highlight for me this year was COVID Christmas. You go into Christmas and you think, God, it's not going to be the same. We're not going to be seeing people that we want to see. Not going to be, be able to do this stuff. But our Christmas was awesome. Like my wife did. She put together little bags with a different activity for every day. So she looked at all the different things that we do, the movies, and added a few things and everything. And every day the kids opened a bag and we did an activity, whether it was a movie or make Christmas cookies or look at Christmas lights and all these things. And that was something we'd never done before, and we probably wouldn't have done if it wasn't for COVID. So that was awesome. And then also we did 2 meals at our house. We normally just do one, and I don't really cook that much.
You
but
cooked a goose.
We cooked a goose for Christmas Eve.
Who are you?
We talked about cooking a goose every year. We always watch It's a Wonderful Christmas Carol, and they're like, "Oh, we should do a
Triumph, my
goose
dear.
some year." Every year we say that, and we're like, "This year, fuck it, we're just gonna cook a goose." And we cooked the goose, and it was fun. Probably not gonna do it again anytime soon, but
Work to cook
it was a lot of work,
yeah.
but it was tasty and whatever.
why
And
it's
then
expensive at restaurants.
and I bought a big standing rib roast and cooked that for Christmas Day. Usually my brother does that. He does it. He's a fucking chef, so he'll do it far better than I will. But I loved all the research and reading all the recipes and the preparation. I did a little dry aging. That was something I wouldn't have normally done. So, no, we didn't get to see everybody like we wanted to see them, but there were, for me, some special things that happened this year that wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Yeah.
So, it was good.
I completely agree.
Jackson, what's good in your world?
Oh man. I as well welcomed a child into my life, or a second. But on top of that, I feel like, what's been a highlight is just the resetting of priorities and intentions, and that has been refreshing. I think our household has had some of the very common frustrations that every household has had in 2020. But one thing that we've consistently come back to is it also came with a certain level of simplicity that was refreshing and kind of reset the speed and pace at which we live a little bit, and for that I was thankful.
Yeah.
Into that.
Yeah, man.
Great. All right, we're gonna take a little break. Be back in just a few moments with what's brutal, what's beautiful, and a little 2021 send-off. Welcome back to Hosbrutality. Now is the segment where we discuss what's been brutal and what's been beautiful. Wesley, please lead us off.
I have a story for you. So we've got a local bar that we've not been happy with in the past, and
Because they suck.
If I
Well, let's just say the local bar has sucked in the past. It hasn't had any.
Yeah.
The
If I was
service,
to-
has been, and the just horrible food.
if
has
I
been
was
the
to say
issue start with.
I'm livid, it'd be an understatement. Old Town Bar and Grill decided they were going to be goddamn American patriots.
They're so
Stand
heroic.
up to Kate Brown,
Oh,
which,
God.
politics aside, I'm not a fan of Kate Brown either, but the way in which they've decided to put our entire industry at risk is unfathomable to me. So they've decided that they're going to run a membership or a country club style loophole, charge folks $1 at the door, and when you go inside, no master required, live DJ, all indoor seating. And it got broadcasted in one of the local Newberg Dundee pages. And I had some choice words for them on that page. Basically coming at them saying, what the fuck are you doing with your actions? Like, it's not just you. If you get fined, they've already been fined once. You get fined again, whatever. But this is sort of what politicians are looking for to make examples of entire areas, right? There's thousands of us in the valley that are hospitality workers. Our paychecks depend on this valley staying open to visitors, right?
Yeah.
I have no problem with protesting. You want to make a statement, make a statement. But when you do it at the potential cost of our whole county going
selfish.
dark again, I take issue with it. One of the wives decided to chime in. I went at it with her pretty graciously. And then the owner reached out in a personal message, and we went back and forth. I took down my message off the public forum. And his comment at the end was that he was trying to get the moderators of the page to take down the advertisement because it was a third-party advertisement for his bar. It's still up. Really, they don't give a single goddamn. They've got a pretty fierce following of local people that feel like they're patriots. Good for you, buddy. Good for you.
One of the points.
But here's the deal. Like, if the rest of our valley gets shut down because of your publicity stunt, here it comes. Fuck you.
There you go. Fuck right off.
So that's what's brutal. I'm pissed. I know other local business owners have gone to them. They're not changing their tune. They feel like they have constitutional loopholes.
I mean, what they one of the things they said in your messages was, "Oh, we're not getting any help with small businesses." That is correct. I mean, I get it. The small businesses are fucked.
Right.
This is not a good solution. I know for a fact they've gotten at least $1 grand.
Yep.
So I mean, there is some help, and I mean, the government response to this has been totally fucked.
Pathetic.
But this is selfish. Basically, they're saying, "Hey, come on in. I'm going to make as much money as I can right now until we get shut down."
Right. Well, and I get that you want to, like, you have a few employees you want to take care of. I feel that as a business owner. But also as a business owner, I have to take into consideration literally every other business owner that's standing next to me during this unprecedented time that's really difficult. So if you're gonna do it based on your ego, fucking ride on your little horse out of town and go somewhere else.
I think
I have
it's
no love for you.
I think it's a bit ridiculous. The most ridiculous thing to me is that they somehow feel like, because they're a concept and that they're new and they started in the middle of the pandemic, that they have some different, they're going through something different than everybody else. Restaurants that have made it the test of time, 50 plus, 100 plus year restaurants are shutting down right now. So to just say, well, if it wasn't for the pandemic, we would be successful. I could see if Morton's downtown wants to say that. If you're Old Town Bar and Grill, you're the last people in this valley to be able to be like, we've earned the right to basically fuck the orders off and to just stay open, despite the people that might get shut down around us who have made this valley what it is and allowed us to open this business in the first place and have a lucrative business in a place that lots of other businesses and restaurants are running already,
Yeah, it's selfish.
My response was, look, be creative. Like, do your thing, protest, but don't you dare take food off the table of
Everyone's
people that are
pissed.
trying to feed their babies too.
Everyone feels the exact same way. That's what I'm saying. Everyone feels the same way they do. Everyone wants to fucking rip their mask off. Jackson wants to have parties in here and have club parties, but they're all playing along.
Jackson's a party guy.
Well, yeah, maybe he doesn't
Can't you
want to,
tell?
but his pocketbook and everybody else in this valley wants to be able to have normal business.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that Jackson understands his neighbor and everybody else is relying on him to play by the rules, and he wants to tell them to fuck off too. But that's just a part
It's
of
a
playing
sacrifice.
the game.
We all got to make a sacrifice.
Yeah. So you bought. Yeah.
Anyway.
So
It's,
Wes is hot.
pathetic.
All right.
Hot
Got to move
right
on.
now.
Good stuff. Beautiful. What's beautiful? We made it.
The end of
year is-
2020.
We made it.
I mean, we got a couple more days, but we made it to the end of 2020.
Yeah, and I would say that we made the most of 2020. I really think that. And I think that's a good thing for me to think about is that.
Personally.
No, exactly. Like we've tried to, despite all this crap going on and despite our industry or the hospitality industry being hit really hard, find a way to do something throughout this year that is productive and isn't going to, fall back because the government shuts us down, We've tried to just be work our way,
Yeah.
something
It's
that's-
been really beautiful, both from the wine side and the food side. Having the Renegade, watching everyone band together, and the number of calls and emails we've gotten saying, hey, if there's any way we can help, or hey, if there's any creative ideas that we can come up with, let us know.
Yeah.
I feel like in 2020, we've kind of gotten back to a more community-oriented lifestyle. Like at the beginning of the shutdown, I've never been called by friends and family just checking in saying, how are you? Right. I hope the thing that we remember coming out of this is that we're doing this together.
Yeah.
And if and when we go back to normal, hopefully sooner rather than later, I hope we take that with us, that we're so in this together. We're family, we're extended community.
In good times and bad.
In good times and bad.
Remember
And-
that when things are rolling, too.
Right. Check in on your family. Check in on your people.
Yeah.
That's been probably one of the highlights of 2020 for me.
Yeah.
Any highlights besides the? Anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I'm watching you guys do your thing. The highlights are different, and that's the perspective you have to take in times like this. Is that the highlights aren't what they used to be; they're different, and so it takes a changing of speeds, a changing gears, if you will, to appreciate them sometimes. But they got their own beauty. So no, I like I said, our household is no different, and our perspective is try to make the best of things that are just different. So
Yeah.
Okay, so New Year's resolutions. I can start it unless you're ready.
I was going to say we need to talk more sports on this podcast.
Just the resolution.
Just in the spirit of talking about Bells Up episode, I think we need to get back.
I'm watching the NFL again, so I kind of know what's going
Thank
on
God,
now.
Stefan came back to the football world.
Yeah, when what's his fuck commissioner was like, maybe we fucked over Kaepernick. It's like, hey, well, at least you said it. Okay, I'll watch a little bit.
He did eat his.
He's still a piece of shit, but
eat his shit in that.
Yeah, legalize weed for the NFL. Let's just say that right now.
yeah, please.
Pretty well done it for the
resolution
NBA,
me
haven't they?
is to take the discipline and necessity for being strategic with my planning and forethought into next year. That's one of the things I historically haven't been very good at. I've got some really fun stuff lined up for 2021. If we can open things back up, I mean, my business partnerships have quadrupled just in this year because we've had time to sit back and think about what worked, what didn't work, what's worked in this different period, and how can we partner moving forward more strategically. And with that, I got to grow up. So my resolution for 2021 is to just be more detail oriented, and know that I've got now with these partnerships, I have other people whose livelihood is dependent on me being better, me growing.
Great. I'm going to drop off the paperwork for opening the bank account then. And you can start, not for a couple days. It's not 2021 yet. I can see your face is red already.
Thanks.
Well, before I know you're going to add stuff on, but I'm going to just
Go ahead.
because of what Wes is saying. I think something especially Wes and I learned this year, because God knows him and I basically waste a lot of time talking about ideas. And well, Stefan, you do too, but sometimes we get a little more crazy and then think we're going to make millions of dollars, and
Someday
shockingly
we
we
will.
don't. But something I learned in 2020 that I think we can use moving forward is that, just because you're doing a lot more, it doesn't mean you're getting a lot done.
Yep.
And that's, I've been guilty of that forever. And this year it's like, what are you going to do that's going to get done what you want to get done? You can feel like you're busy, you can feel like you're grinding, but what is your grinding actually doing?
Right.
And that's changed a little bit, I think, in the sense that you say, we got to decide if this time is worth investing in this thing or not.
Yeah.
And you see results when you do that kind of thing.
Well, and I'm a new dad too, so I get to balance like being productive and my productivity time, and then coming home and turning that off and being a present dad.
Yeah.
Like watching my son grow and learn new things. Really, that's the most important thing that I can be investing my time into.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's kind of twofold. Just learning how to be organized, and then coming home and being a dad.
That's good.
Amen,
That's
man.
good. I'm going to kind of have two. One is kind of related to the other. I need to spend at least, I don't know, a half hour, an hour, I don't know, each day doing something that I really don't want to do. Like open mail, or do paperwork, or, just the shit that oftentimes my wife would do, that she's just like, grow up, do it. Like, she's kind of waiting for me to grow up in some of this stuff.
Yeah.
I just need to fucking do it, like, and just make it a goal to spend X time doing every day, because I avoid that shit like the plague. Like,
Right.
And during COVID, I'm hardly working, so there's no excuse. So, like, you know what? I just gotta. Again, it's kind of like a grown-up thing.
We all got to grow up.
Absolutely.
And somewhat related to that is, I want to spend more time doing stuff with my kids that really interests them. That's like stuff that matters to them, like the video games, even, and the animation and music with Bridget, maybe, or whatever. I just find those things that they're willing to kind of engage me on while they're young.
Yeah.
Because they're only going to be young for so long.
Yeah.
And it's going to be gone before I know it. And they might be things that my eyes are going to glaze over, and I'm going to be totally lost, and I'm going to be very uncomfortable. Like, Aiden wants me to play video games with him, and I'm going to be horrible. I'm going to be horrible playing these games. But,
Like
That's time you're not gonna
virtual
get back.
reality.
I'm just going to have to go do it.
first-person
Like, it's
shooters.
going to be uncomfortable and humiliating, probably,
Yeah.
But it's just
Yeah.
got to do it. It's just
Yeah.
important, I think. And so, anyway, that's...
You're gonna kill the good guys way too many times.
I'm going to be like Jim Halpert in The Office, running into the wall.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that scene when we were talking.
Oh, look at him. He's so cute. Dead. So,
Exactly.
but whatever,
I think it's a great resolution, Stefan.
Thank you. Okay, well, we're going to show you, just a moment, a little, some clips of our favorite people, or some of our favorite people around the valley.
Our very favorite.
At
people.
least the ones that were willing to share with us a New Year's resolution. So check that out.
Hey everybody, this is Evan Bellinger with Bellinger Estates. New Year's resolutions for 2021. I'm thinking first, get down to my pre-COVID weight, and then probably my 2006 weight. And I think I'm going to have to donate a couple of organs to do that, but I'm willing to do that. And my real resolution is just going to be try to be open next spring and summer. I think it's going to be awesome. People are going to want to come out to Oregon wine country and drink delicious wines, and we want to be there and say hi and give you big hugs and lots of kisses.
Hi, this is Julia Burke from the Willamette Valley Wineries Association, and my New Year's resolution is to explore some of the hiking and camping and outdoor spaces in the Willamette Valley and explore basically any space that isn't four walls. Enjoy the new year, everybody, and here's to brighter days in 2021. Cheers.
Happy New Year! My name's Tom Fitzpatrick. I'm the wine grower and owner of Elevate Wine Growers, a very small winery located in the Willamette Valley. Our New Year's resolution is the development of some new programs and experiences to help bring more joy to our community and customers. Happy 2021.
Hi, I'm Jillian Bradshaw from Beaufrere Winery, here to tell you about my resolution for 2021. So considering 2020 was such a fiery year in every way, my resolutions for 2021 are all about water. Drink more water than coffee, never refuse water, be like water, which I thought I made up, but apparently I didn't. I hope your 2021 is awesome. Cheers!
Hi, I'm Vanessa Bizzani, Retail Sales Manager for Bergstrom Wines. Happy 2021, Happy New Year. I think we're all pretty excited to say goodbye to 2020. We stayed strong. We built a community that I am so impressed with, and the Willamette Valley as a whole really worked together. I'm really excited for 2021 to see how those communities and that forging of deeper relationships continues to bring us excitement, growth, friendship, and just a great year.
Hello y'all, my name's Chase, chef up at the Black Walnut in Dundee. And for my New Year's resolution, I am just working on a little bit of self-care this year, trying to take care of myself a little bit better. First thing on my list is drink more water. Terrible at staying hydrated, especially working in a hot kitchen all the time. So drinking more water is priority. Second is just enjoying the now, being here in the present and just laughing and having fun. And that would be it. Have a good one. Cheers.
Hi there, this is Jim McGuire, Hospitality Manager at Furiosa Vineyards, and my New Year's resolution for 2021 is to get back in shape. I've put on a little weight over the last 2 or 3 months. I was very happy with where I was going this summer, but with 2020 and everything happening, COVID and deaths in the family, etc., I put on a little weight and I want to get back to someplace healthy. I remember hearing somebody once saying, drinking a little wine isn't what's going to kill you. That couch will kill you. So my New Year's resolution is to start working out regularly and get off my couch.
Hey everyone from Carlton Hill. Happy New Year to everyone. But a little ditty here. When you're chewing on life's gristle, don't grumble, give a whistle. That will help make things all right. Always look at the broad side of life. Do-do, 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 do-do. Always be looking at the light side of life. I know my resolution for the new year will be to visit my friends from Monty Python and to watch a couple of Mystery Science Theater 3000 productions. I recommend them highly. Again, best wishes and best of luck in the new year.
Hey, Hosbrutality, my name is Ben. I work at White Rose Estate in Dundee. My New Year's resolutions are to get outside more and explore, pick more mushrooms, and drink better wine. Have a happy New Year's, you guys. Bye.
Oh, hey, I'm Laura Lang with Hazelfern. And my New Year's resolution this year is, well, not to make any. I made some this last year, and we all know how 2020 worked out. So this year, my goal, I guess, drink more wine.
This is Peter Shea from Shea Vineyard, wishing you all a happy new year. My New Year's resolution is to create more positive habitat for the wildlife around our vineyard. Hoping to get some new birdhouses in soon as a start. Happy 2021.
Hello, Sam Parra with Parra Wine Company. My New Year's resolution is this. January 1st is the first blank page of a 365-page book. I will try my best through 2021 to write the best book ever. Have a great day, everybody. Happy New Year.
Hi, I'm Allison Sokol-Vlasser, second generation co-president and CEO of my family's winery, Sokol-Vlasser, in the beautiful Dundee Hills of Oregon. So what is my New Year's resolution for 2021? Well, 2020 has been one heck of a year. A lot of challenges, a lot of struggles, but with those challenges and struggles have been a lot of learnings and silver linings. So my goal for 2021 is to bring forward and not forget those silver linings and those gifts from 2020. So things like still doing Zoom catch-ups with friends and family dinners every night and cooking a lot and takeout even more. So those gifts, those silver linings from 2020, I want to carry those forward even post-pandemic into the new year. So cheers and Happy New Year.
Hey everybody, I'm Hallie White. I'm the Managing Director at Soder Vineyards. Just wanted to wish you a Happy New Year and tell you that my 2 New Year's resolutions are to drink more champagne, hence my sweatshirt, and hang out with my friends more, hopefully in person rather than Zoom. Much love. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy 2021, folks. Ian Burrows here from RE Vintners and Consulana Wine Company and Produce Estate in Newberg, Oregon. New Year's resolution this year is to really embrace the dynamics of teaching the younger generation of winemakers that are coming up through the valley. Had a very positive experience in 2020 during harvest with my intern team, and I want to give more time to them and others moving forward this year. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, thank you to our industry friends who shared those clips with us. I hope you have success with all your New Year's resolutions, no matter how dirty or inappropriate they were. And that's going to do it for the year. Gentlemen, it's been a dream. Jackson, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Jackson. Yeah, thanks for coming
We
on.
love
Thanks
you
for
all.
having me.
Thank you for supporting us, and we will see you next year.
Cheers to
Cheers,
the
y'all.
Should
Hosbrutalite.
old acquaintance be forgotten?
Yeah, Stefan.
Something old lang syne.
I can think of no better way to take this away.
You gotta finish it now. You gotta finish it now.
Should old acquaintance
Don't edit
be
that out.
forgotten?
You are forbidden from editing any of
In
this
the
out.
days of old lang syne.
Perfect.
My only
Give the
request.
people
Perfect
what
way to
they
end.
want.
Perfect way to end the year.
All right.
Good night.
We love
friends.
you.
Cheers.